How long have you been wanting to start that business? Most likely too long, right? What stops most people from making that dream business into their reality is not clearly understanding these steps and how to start. So having been part of companies that have grown to over 100 employees and multiple locations, I've made all the mistakes you've wanted to avoid. In this episode, I'm going to open up the 8 steps to start your small business and all the things you need to consider to do today to make sure that you're prosperous in the future. Make sure you stick around to step number 5 because this is one of the biggest things that I see that people trip up all the time on, and unfortunately it is the downfall of their business. Now there's an interesting statistic that generally 1 in every 2 small businesses fail inside the space of 3 years, and only around about 30% of businesses succeed after 5. So really making sure that you hone in step number 5 will give you every opportunity to succeed in your business now and well into the future.
Everything school should have taught you in one place. With a property portfolio of over 17 million and an accountancy firm of over 16,000 clients, as well as being an accountant to some of the wealthiest people in Australia, Jeremy Iannuzzelli will be sharing his lessons on everything school should have taught you so you can build the life you want.
Step number 1 before you start is getting your mindset ready. Anyone who goes out to start a business to say that, hey, I want to control my hours and control who I work for, that's the biggest fallacy since Bernie Madoff's told you that he'd make you millions of dollars a year. So be very careful. You're going into business to work harder than ever. Your clients are unfortunately all your bosses. Your staff are your bosses. You're a slave to paying rent and a slave to the taxman. But you do it for the recognition of achieving something. So mindset is important. You really need to make sure that you're prepared to work harder than ever. A couple of other things that you do need to consider is really understanding if this business is truly a business or a hobby. I reckon 8 or 9 times out of 10 when my clients want to start a business, it's because they love their hobby. And it could be that they love washing dogs or dog walking. Now, don't get me wrong, you do need to have a passion for what you're doing, but there needs to be a business feasibility study being done. So as part of that business feasibility, you also need to understand that what you love, other people love, but are also willing to pay you for that love as well. So it's important that there needs to be a business case for it. So another thing you need to consider in step number 1 is, are you a contractor or just an employee? So many people want to start a business under the guise of being a contractor, but really they're an employee. So there's things to consider like personal services income or personal services business. And are you really providing a service to multiple people, or are you just swapping from being an employee to a contractor, where really it might be worthwhile for you to stay as an employee and obtain all the entitlements such as long service leave, annual leave, sick leave, more importantly, superannuation. So there are a couple things to consider before you start a business. Step number 2 is define your business. And this is where I feel some people don't really understand what this means. But decide on a business structure. Should you stay as a sole trader under the personal services income test? Should you be a company, a proprietary limited entity where you get some asset protection, although it does come with cost? Or potentially, on rare circumstances, should you operate your business as a trust? So this is where you need to make sure you speak with your accountant or advisor and understand what type of structure I need to use. One of the most important things is choosing a business name. So many clients I see when I start businesses for them, I really have to push back on them because they're so eager to start a business. They choose a name like Black Table or Black Mouse Proprietary Limited. Understand that your business name represents the service or good that you're trying to sell. It represents who you are and it represents what your quality is going to be. So a business name is important. You can change it in the future. There's a lot of admin tasks around it and there's some additional cost in doing so. More specifically, and again, under step number 2 in defining your business is your location. Don't settle for anywhere. If you're a business that requires a specific location, I've seen lots of people eager into business and choose a location without doing the market research of that location. Restaurateurs, coffee shops, this one's for you. Your location, foot traffic matters and it translates into dollars. So don't be too eager to start anywhere. Don't just look at the cost of the rent and say, wow, that's cheap, I'll do it. Sometimes it's worth paying that little bit extra to get a far substantially better result, which is clients, customers, and sales turnover. I can give you a really good example of where I had a client, unfortunately, way too eager to get into his second restaurant. And he started a restaurant in an area where he thought, wow, this is fantastic. It's got a lot going for it. But there'd been a number of other restaurants which had opened and failed. My warning to him was, why had those restaurants opened and failed? And not just one, but a number of them. And about a year after he opened up that second restaurant, he felt the pinch of why that restaurant prior to him opening there started to fail. So there was a lot of hype. There was people there that went, but unfortunately it just didn't have the foot traffic or the clientele to have a sustainable restaurant. And hence a year after that, in his second or third year of trading, had to close the business because it just wasn't sustainable anymore. Step number 3 is a good one, and this is planning your business. Now, this goes with step number 2, and I believe they're very much hand in hand, but that's research your market. Research who your customers are, research where your customers are, and research how you're going to get your product or service to the customers. Develop a business plan. This is another point under step number 3, and this is something I very rarely see people do. You've got to put the hard yakka in before you start in your business. Do a business plan. Get an understanding of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Get an understanding of the capital required to start your business. Get an understanding of who your competitors are in the business. Get an understanding of the pricing strategy in the business and the costs involved. And how the old saying goes, failure to plan is planning to fail. So you've got to make sure that you're getting your business plan up and ready. Get it reviewed by one of your advisors or accountant. Get it reviewed by your peers or your mentor. Get an understanding. Have a chat with a number of other people. It doesn't necessarily need to be a 40-page document, something that you do at university or at school, but sometimes just jotting down some very clear points and some numbers on a page will get you thinking. Don't think it gets done in a day. Put it down on a Tuesday, revisit it on a Wednesday, revisit it on a Sunday. It's something that you need to constantly look at over a number of weeks, and that will help you make sure that you're jotting down all the points that you need to consider. The last thing is managing risks. Managing risk is important, and that can come through a number of different varieties. It could be finances, it could be family, it could be time, it could be clientele, it could be friends, it could be promoting your business. Get an understanding of what's involved, manage all the different fires that you think may occur, and have strategies for the fires that you don't know about yet. And it could be A, money set aside in a buffer, could be B, having really good professionals around you like a solicitor or accountant. You want to surround yourself with people who can identify or assist you in managing risks that you know about, or assist you in the risks that you just don't know about yet. Step number 4 is registering your business. You've now done all the hard yakka and put all the points down on paper or on your Excel or Microsoft Word document. But registering your business is simple, and that can be done most often with an accountant. That's getting an ABN, getting the structure being set up, whether it's a company or a sole trader, getting a trust, getting a combination or a hybrid of various different structures. Registering your business name is important. Protecting your brand with trademarks and IPs. Now, again, I only recently did this with my own business and registered a trademark for my business name, something I never looked at or never really cared about, but hearing some war stories of people who were operating under business names for a number of years and new business came along and trademarked it, it became a lengthy legal battle. Not very expensive, but nevertheless cost and time that the client didn't want to spend or have. So very easy to do. Don't forget, you can do this particular service on the internet. I believe there's a website called Australia IP. One of those easy things you can do to register your business name and trademark it and protect it for the future. A couple other things to do is making sure that you register for all the right taxes. So that's getting an understanding of GST, pay-as-you-go withholding, fuel tax credit if you're operating in the courier or truck industry, wine and equalisation tax as well. So there's a number of taxes to consider to make sure that you register. One of the main ones being fringe benefit tax. If you haven't, make sure that you do. Getting the right licenses and permits. Again, so many clients I see register a company, have everything ready to go, insurances, they get all their bank accounts, but they don't necessarily transfer all the licenses that they need. And this one's especially for all the tradies out there. And the last one, as we all know, get a domain name. There's nothing worse than having your old email address that you set up when you're 12 years old on Hotmail or Gmail. Like my old one was called A Ride to Be. You can feel free to spam that email address as much as you want. I hardly ever use it, but it doesn't look very professional when you've got an email address that you set up when you're 12 years old that you thought was pretty cool. Get a domain name. It creates professionalism and gives a sense of class to your business. Now, this was the one that you guys were waiting for. And step number 5 is what I see people don't do. And this is one of the main factors why businesses fail in the first couple of years, and only 30% of businesses get past the 5-year mark. And that's organizing your finances. As an accountant, I stress to all clients, guys, finances in business is so important. The business money is not your money. The business money is the business's money. Don't let your personal issues become a business issue. So organizing your finances is imperative. And I'm going to list a number of things here that I've put down for you to make sure that you need to do when organizing your finances for your small business. And the first one is calculate your startup costs. So many people start and go through the business, get it all ready to go, and they've got no fundamental idea of what it all costs. Get an understanding from your insurance broker, your accountant, your lawyer, your friends, other mentors, advisors, peers. Get an understanding of what this business is going to cost you from equipment, software, services, subscription, bank fees, accounting fees, bookkeeping fees. Don't be blindsided by the cost. You want to give your business every opportunity to thrive, and a thriving business needs capital. So get a fundamental understanding of your startup costs. The second thing you need to consider is funding for your business. I see so many small businesses underfunded, and that hampers their growth, which leads to their failure. If you don't need money from the bank, get a good buffer in place or allocate a fundamental amount of capital that you need to ensure the business's success. I see so many clients struggling, scraping the bottom of the barrel because they're unaware of the funding requirements for their business, not just from a startup perspective, but from an ongoing perspective as well. Speak to your banker, get friendly with your local banker, speak to your mortgage broker, get an understanding of what things you need to do, not necessarily action on them, but what things you need to do to potentially have funding available for you, such as a small business loan. One of the other main points in step number 5 is setting up your finances. Getting the right bank accounts, allocating the money to the right bank accounts, such as your trading account, your GST account, the business savings account, the superannuation account, the tax account. I see so many people get this wrong. They think whatever's in the business is their money. Remember, the business money is not your money. If you want that money, you either need to declare a dividend, unfranked or franked, depending if you have franking credits, which is tax that the business has paid. Now, if you want to know more about franking credits, please revisit a past episode. I've spoken all about how franking credits work. Paying yourself the right level of wage, again, if you want to get money out of the company. If you take money out of your own company, you're now partaking in what they call a Division 7A loan arrangement, which means you need to pay that money back to the business with interest, which is accessible to the business, means you pay tax, but not deductible in your own name. So remember, the business money is not your money. You need to declare a dividend or a wage to get it out. So setting up your finances is important, and that could be as little as setting up bank accounts where you allocate all the right money to. One of the last things is forecasting your cash flow. Understanding what your business needs to go through the next 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. Get a fundamental understanding of what expenses that you are looking to incur or big ticket items that you need to purchase and how you're going to fund them. This is one of the biggest things that I see hamper business growth, which then potentially leads to failure in the years to come. So cash flow forecasting is important, and it could be as simple as just creating a budget and sticking to that budget. If you've said that you're only going to be spending $2,000 on social media and advertising, spend $2,000 on social media and advertising. If you said you're only going to spend $300 on fuel that month, spend $300 on fuel that month. Do not let personal costs creep into that business bank account, because that will set you up for failure in the future. And the last thing, understand your taxes. Know that when that money comes into your bank account, in most circumstances, 1/11 of it is not yours. If you charged your client $110 for that particular job, $10 is not yours. Most likely it will be the ATO's as part of your business activity statement. Understand when you need to lodge your taxes, understand the facets of the taxes, so the GST, the PAYG, the superannuation, the payroll tax if it's applicable, fringe benefit tax if it's applicable, company tax if it's applicable and you've made profit. You need to know all the various taxes because taxes in business is your largest cost in most circumstances. So speak with your accountant, get regular updates from your accountant regarding the taxes that your business will most likely pay and understand it. Step number 5, which is organizing your finances, is one of the crucial steps that you need to execute well. And this is one of the reasons why businesses fail in the first 2 years and don't succeed after the next 5. Step number 6. Now, a lot of people feel that step number 6 needs to be step number 1, but it's not. Step number 6 is where it is because of a reason, and that's getting your customers. Market your business. Spend the money on the right social media advertising. Spend the money with the right professionals. But don't just think spending your money on any marketing plan is going to succeed. Sometimes your best and most effective marketing is free, and that's word of mouth. That's your friends. Get your friends on the back of what your business is doing. Give them a reason to utilize you because why not? Support the people that support you. So word of mouth is crucial. Creating a website is also crucial, regardless if you're a small business or a large business. Most likely large businesses have all their websites down pat. But even if you're a micro-sized business, creating a website represents professionalism. It represents that, hey, this is not just something you're doing as a hobby. I've got a business website that's out there representing what my business does. And hey, with the world of computers and phones and tablets, it's so quickly to look at Google and get an understanding of what businesses are in your local area. One of the other things is setting up social media presence, and then you're ready to start advertising. In the world of social media, such as TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, I believe, and I'm not in tune with all the social media platforms that are out there, but I believe that having a social media presence is key. I use social media every day for my own business, and I do see often some really good results. Step number 7 and 8, again, applicable to you or may not be applicable to you, and I believe they kind of form part of one another. Number 7 is hiring employees, making sure you're getting all the right HR agreements for your employees and yourself being an employee as well. So that's setting up all the terms and conditions, understanding the statutory requirements with regarding to hiring employees such as sick leave and annual leave and what that represents if they do take it throughout the year. So good HR. There are firms out there and outsource HR firms that you can utilize which take care of a lot of these issues for you, but hiring employees is another step, number 7. Not necessarily for all small businesses at the start, but definitely as you progress. I do believe as an accountant, I would recommend some outsourced HR firms that can assist you. And if you don't have the capital for that, try to find a really good friend or a solicitor who's happy to do it for you at a very reduced cost initially. And step number 8 being the last one, protecting your business. Understand the law. There's no such thing as I did not know. There's professionals out there and around you that can definitely assist you. Yes, it costs you money, but understand the law. Understand tax law, understand fair trading, understand work placement law. It's very important that you understand what you're doing in the business or sector that you're in. Another one is create a safe workplace. Create a workplace that people want to be in and create a workplace that people will thrive. Getting business insurance, ensuring that you've got the right insurances for your business, whether it's workers' comp, public liability, professional indemnity, could be in contents insurance for your business, could be product liability insurance as well. Protect your intellectual property, which goes back and reverts to getting IP or trademarks being done. Be cyber secure. We've never really had to worry about cybersecurity until probably the last 5 or 10 years, but so many businesses are getting attacked, even your largest businesses, most notably banks and private health insurance firm. So be cyber secure, protect your clients' identities, protect your own identity, and this will ensure a very safe business moving forward in the future. And the last one, have an emergency contingent fund. Sometimes business is not all smooth sailing. As we know, life is not smooth sailing. Don't just spend willy-nilly. make sure you do have a buffer in place in your business. I like to have anywhere between 1 to 2 months of business expenses completely paid for inside a buffer account in my business. And that means that for whatever happens, I could be sick for 2 months, no clients could pay for 2 months. There could be a disaster that happens, which means that I need to lock my business down for 2 months, but at least I've got a couple of months worth of buffer in place that I can pay all the costs of my business without receiving $1 in my business bank account. Well, after that, who knows? I've got to work out and dip into other contingency funds that I've had put away for other purposes. But I believe not having an emergency fund for your business is going to lead to a disaster, and again, contributing to why 50% of businesses fail in the first couple of years and only 30% of businesses make it past 5. So they're the 8 steps that you need to make sure that you remember when starting your business. Get in contact with your accountant, your lawyer, your financial advisor, or your mentor, and they'll be able to give you some more assistance as you go through the process. If you like this content and you like what you hear, if you're listening on YouTube, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. On iTunes and Spotify, don't forget to follow us. I'm Jeremy Iannuzzelli. This is the 8 steps to business, and that is what school should have taught you. Look forward to seeing you on our next episode.